What's up guys, my name is Tuonto and I'm here to bring you first impressions and explaining how this new character in Strinova, Calabiyau or Calabiyau works in the game. Her name is Yugiri in Japanese or Yowu in Chinese. I will go over what her skills and abilities do as well as how I anticipate she will be played. And lastly, synergy with other characters in the game. This is a new style of video I am attempting, so all feedback is greatly appreciated. Yugiri is part of the faction POS in Strinova. If you are familiar with Valorant, she works in a similar way to Viper as a controller character. She has abilities that can help control the space and flow of the game, while also providing excellent tools for her team to win more gunfights in closed spaces. Side note, I know there has been a few Strinova betas for global. If you are wondering why I haven't made any official guides for characters yet, it is because I do not know what patch version of the Chinese game will be released to global. So I am waiting for official news before I make any official advanced guides for characters in the future. I want to make sure my information is correct and also applicable to the present state of Strinova as much as possible.
Oh yeah, baby.
運命は逃げられない風。
To start, let's go over how her skills and abilities work. Her primary weapon resembles an AUG and is the exact same weapon that Meredith uses. That being said, the upgrades for the weapon in the buy menu will also be the same as well. She has a special passive where if she deals 60 HP damage, not shield damage, to an enemy, a corrosive cloud explodes, affecting other enemies that happen to touch it as well. Any enemy that walks through it or touches it, they will lose armor temporarily. So you're gonna have to break an opponent's shield and then do the HP damage to trigger this if you want it to happen. Her main skill is 3 snails that she can place wherever she wants on the map. It can be on the ground, on the wall, or on a ceiling. When activated, a smoky cloud, or we'll call it the snail cloud, is created where enemies lose their shield over time if inside it or touching it. This does not affect their HP though. The shield loss is also temporary, meaning if they were to walk out of the area of effect, they will gain their shield back over time. You may be wondering, what if they take damage from an enemy after losing shield temporarily? Will they gain it back after leaving the snail cloud? Yes, they actually will gain it back. So if they start to lose their shield temporarily and only their HP is remaining, if you do damage to them, you'll be doing damage to their HP. And if they somehow manage to get out of that gunfight, they will regain the temporary shield loss that they experienced with the snail cloud. The cooldown for regenning snails to place is around 40 seconds, and it is important to note, after placing another snail after 3, the oldest snail placed will be replaced. Only 3 snails may exist on the field at a time. Now, the most important part about her kit is this bar here. Having the snails active will consume this bar, and when it runs out, you will not be able to use your skill until it recharges. Each snail individually takes up points from the bar, so having 3 on at once will consume the bar much faster. It is really important to manage this resource wisely, so you will likely be a player constantly looking at the map, asking for information from teammates, and making very important quick decisions throughout the match. Being a controller means being very aware of what is happening at all times. Yugiri's ultimate is a big box that moves forward, applying corrosion to enemies within it, meaning that any enemy within the ultimate will begin to lose their shield. This is likely a retake ultimate just because of the huge size that this ultimate is, so the enemy can run away as fast as possible, but it wouldn't be great for their shield. So if they opt to run forward to commit to a fight, they would be committing to a fight against the people retaking, but with lower shields. I honestly find it hilarious that her ultimate is just a big box. It's like not even in theme with her snail. Like, they could have made maybe a snail trail, like start from beginning to end. I don't know. I don't know. You know what? It doesn't matter. It's a big box. It looks like a good ultimate and it's huge, and you know what? That's all that matters. Let's talk about her upgrades to her skills now. She has a passive upgrade that allows the HP points that activate the corrosion cloud when you're dealing damage to an enemy from 60 to 20. So it's basically a much faster way to activate when dealing damage to an enemy that is HP points. She also has a skill cooldown reduction upgrade that reduces it from 40 seconds to 30 seconds to regenerate a snail. Her last upgrade reduces the consumption of the snail bar when snail clouds are active by 20%, making the active time of the snails last longer. Here's a comparison of what that looks like with every single snail active at once. Now let's talk about some of the most important things about her kit. Her combos, or awakenings is what they call it. Her combo 1 increases the duration of the corrosion cloud that appears to last a bit longer. So when you're dealing 60 or 20 HP to an enemy, if you have the upgrade, that corrosion cloud that activates and appears lasts a little bit longer, which gives a greater chance of any enemies or enemies' teammates of running into it and reducing their shield temporarily. But I think it's very strong because it leaves a little space for enemies that aren't willing to just go into. Being able to control small spaces like that for small amounts of time really add up in the long run throughout the round. And as a controller, that is very valuable. Awakening 2 or combo 2 activates when the snail clouds are active. With combo 2, they will expand over time, reaching a bigger size and a limit. It reaches a pretty big size, and honestly, it's kind of scary. I think about maps like Windy Town where there are small spots inside mid that this combo would just completely take over, and I don't think any enemy would want to run into it at all. So this is honestly a pretty good combo. However, on the other side, combo 3 can also serve as an actual smoke blind, meaning enemies cannot see through it. So both of these upgrades depend on how the players are playing and what map you're playing on as well. I imagine people are going to be able to set up some cheeky one-ways, preventing enemies from wanting to even bother entering site, and that is probably going to be really annoying to fight against, I'm going to be honest. And I think it's the era of lineups that is probably going to start happening now. Because I imagine if, say, Yugiri is on one site and she's blocking the entry with a one-way, enemies are really not going to want to bother fighting that. But if they do have lineups with nades or smokes, flashes, etc., that can help them get in a lot easier if they know where enemies are kind of waiting for them. Overall, these are decent upgrades to her kit, especially the HP points activating the corrosion cloud from 60 to 20. I think it helps win gunfights a lot faster, especially if you are fighting a group of enemies with some teammates. And maybe it will give you an extra second chance, possibly if you're in a 1v2 situation, or maybe even a 1v3, since the cloud will activate and affect the enemy's shield. However, if you're throwing yourself into a 1v2 or 1v3, I'm gonna be honest, you're mostly trolling. You shouldn't do that. It's better to have a teammate next to you at all times. If you're a crazy person, I guess, you know, it might help if you have this upgrade. Now, between the skill cooldown reduction from 40 to 30 seconds to regenerate a snail to place, and the consumption of the snail bar being reduced by 20% when the snail cloud is active, I personally think the 20% reduction is maybe a bit more valuable than the cooldown reduction. I just think that most of the times when you're setting up to defend a site, being able to stall out the enemy team longer by having a slightly lower consumption rate will do a lot better, since the attackers do have a limited time to attack, so stalling them as much as possible as a defender is really super important. And I think Yugiri has a great kit to accomplish that. Overall, she is a solid controller but requires a lot of planning and analyzing the current game. Every game you play, you will encounter different players who have different playstyles, and it's up to you to adapt and place your snails accordingly, predicting the opponent's playstyles. It is a lot of work sometimes as a controller, since your team will rely on you to help set up good entries or retake on a site. So communicating as a controller player is so important. I think scanners like Fuchsia or Galatea will also be used on defense side, since combo 3 in Wu's kit will allow the snail clouds to not be see-through. I anticipate counters against Yowu are likely other attacking controllers that can block vision. If Yowu does not know an enemy is near her snail, she may not be able to activate it in time. I also think waiting out her utility can also be a strong counter. Obviously, players with good timing who can keep track of how much utility Yowu has used will know when to strike when she has no more resources to activate her snail clouds with. In the end, this character is going to be interesting to see in Strinova, as she is the first character with resource management requirements. I think she is strong in the hands of someone who is a very good team player. It truly does, and I say it a lot, take a lot of coordination to gain value from her skills, since it seems her skills can apply to multiple enemies, and you would need at least another teammate by your side if you are to encounter multiple players. If you found this video helpful, leave a like and subscribe to catch more future videos. It lets me know that you want to see more possible guides. And if you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments down below, as I greatly appreciate it and want to improve my videos to make consuming this type of information as easy as possible for you guys. Lastly, I do stream most nights on Twitch, so feel free to stop by my live streams.